Okay, dear teacher friends, shall we continue?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
fine.
Yes.
Now, so after knowing all these values, let me show you a slide showing the value of a tree, wherein a team of ecologists, economists, all of them who have worked for more than a decade or so, and they could pull in some information to assess the value of it. A tree that lives for 50 years is capable of generating about 5.3 lakhs worth of oxygen. So from a single tree that lives for 50 years, you can get an oxygen, right? So for an oxygen cylinder, how much is the cost? Probably during this COVID time, people who have been affected, if you can ask, they will tell you. So likewise, from a single tree, in 50 years, about 5.3 lakhs worth of oxygen is being released. And a tree that lives for 50 years is capable of facilitating about 6.4 lakhs worth of soil erosion control. That is, when a tree is grown through its root system, it binds the soil together and avoids the erosion of the soil. A tree that lives for 50 years in its time during this period, so it can absorb many air pollutants and it's worth about 10.5 lakhs. 10.5 lakhs worth of air pollution control. The best biofilters of air pollutants are trees. So you just look at normally all along the road on either side, they plant the saplings. No, there should be tree, avenue trees or whatever it may be, but there should be trees. See, all along the railway track, all along the roads, earlier they used to plant these trees, and they should see that whenever there is to be smoke or dust or pollutants that are given out by the burning of petrol, diesel or coal or anything else like that, the pollutants that is being released in the environment is being absorbed by the foliage of these plants. So that is why trees or plants are considered to be the best biofilters of the air pollutants. So likewise, a single tree that lives for about 50 years is capable of creating 10.5 lakhs worth of air pollution control. A tree that lives for 50 years is capable of giving shelter for birds and other animals, which is about estimated to be around 5.3 lakhs. 5.3 lakhs. A tree that lives for 50 years is capable of recycling about 6.4 lakhs worth of fertility. That means, well, it is going to shed the leaves, branches, twigs, fruits, and other things. So a tree that lives for 50 years during such a period, so it adds to the fertility of the soil through its litter and other things. Besides these things, it also provides flower, fruits, and timber. Thus, when a tree is felled, it is something worth about 33.9 lakhs. So you just imagine, from a single tree, it is worth about 33.9 lakhs means, right? How many trees, how many species that you can have in your backyard or in your area, right? So it is that much worth. So in a lighter way, that is why I used to ask those people who used to be involved in talking very lightly about the trees and environment, I used to ask it. So there is a poem in Kannada, Neenarigadeyo Elemana. So what is your worth when you are living for 50 years? You ask your child, or you should ask your son or daughter, because they are the one who is going to tell you after 50 years. Suppose you have not left any property, any house, any vehicle for them, then they will say, my father is useless, isn't it? So to that extent, they feel what it means, everything has become commercialized. The relationship has also become commercialized. But a tree doesn't think like that. So that is what is the worth. And how many trees are there in India for each individual? Suppose if I can show you the recent information, India has a tree population of only 35 billion, leading to just 28 trees per person. So you may say, sir, we are already having 28 trees per person. Better we shall cut some more. We can make use of it. There are the other values of the trees. So compared to Brazil, which is having about 301 billion trees, that is about 1,494 per person, the tree. So Brazil is having a better rate than India. And Canada is having about 8,953 trees per person. And China is having 102 trees per person. So we are having, the area is good, the fertility of the soil is good, we have got immense variation of the ecosystems, diversified forest types. And in India, we are having as many as 64 forest types are there in India. 64 forest types as recognized by Champion and Sate, the forest scientists who have worked it very long back. So we are having this much of forest types, but the number of individuals of the trees, the number of area, and we are all butchering it. We are all decreasing it. So that is where we stand. Now, what are the major threats to this biodiversity? Deforestation and overgrazing. So deforestation and overgrazing we are doing to such an extent that we are not able to come to the standard of the National Forest Policy prescribed rate. That is, how much is our ideal forest cover according to National Forest Policy? It is 33%. So 33% of this forest cover is not at all we are having. So that is the drawback. So it is because of the deforestation, cutting of the trees for your requirements, for your need. So why do we need this much of trees? Can't we live without cutting the trees? You may ask me. No, you can cut a tree, you can use it for your purpose, but at the same time, once you utilize a tree, have you bothered to plant the sapling of these things or this tree or some other tree in your vicinity or in a natural area or in a wasteland or wherever it is possible? Have you done it? This we have not done it. And another thing is about overgrazing. Now I will give you overgrazing. We are ranking number 1 in the cattle population. We are ranking number 1 in cattle population. Now, when these cattle are being fed, left freely, right, to feed on the grass or something else, what happens? They go here and there and graze or browse, isn't it, on the juvenile shoot system or the leaves, etc. So continuously, when they continuously keep on eating the young tender shoots and all these things, what happens is the plants will never grow at all. Plants will never grow at all because the juvenile part, the developing part of a plant is being continuously eaten by these cattle, so that that area becomes almost, that plants become almost dead over a period of time. And because of the continuous movement of these cattle and other things, even the plants are going to die. So thereby overgrazing renders the inhibition of the growth of the plants. Even a natural regeneration of a tree, into a sapling is also being eliminated if you allow the cattle to overgraze. Now, the question is that are you not balancing about your cattle population and its commodities for your requirements? That is what one should think. That is what one should think. Now, another reason which is threatening the biodiversity is habitat destruction and fragmentation of the area. Whatever the land that is meant for a specific purpose, it should be used for that particular purpose only. Use and abuse of the land should not be carried out. Say, if a land is meant for agriculture, it should be meant for agriculture. If it is meant for industries, say for example, C and D lands, as per the classification of the land system, so it should be meant for the industrial purpose. Right. So, in spite of all these things, what we are doing is habitat destruction. Today, I will give you an example. In Mysore, there is a Bogadi, a village called Bogadi. probably about 30, 40 years back, 40 years back or 50 years back. This Bogadi village is a small village having a few households, plus the entire area was having a very good agricultural field as well as the coconut farms, right, and other things. So the land, even today, you take the soil and analyze for its nutrients, it is one of the most richest soil having the highest amount of nutrients, Someone for the farmer might have advised, why do you toil in the sunlight morning till evening to grow these crops or fruits and get hardly some 40,000, 50,000 or 10,000 rupees of profit in a year or something else like that. Instead, you make your farmland or agricultural land into layouts. So if you can do it, so in 1 acre, so many sites. And for each sites, so 20, 30, 40 lakhs. So you can become a crorepati. Somebody has, I do not know how these people have inculcated such type of knowledge in the minds of these agriculturists, and they have changed their lifestyle, changed their attitude. They made everything into a cement jungle or a concrete jungle. See, now in Bogadi area, everywhere there will be the residential layouts. And what type of soil it is, even if you grow, even if you put some seeds till today, right, I am telling you, even for another 50 years, you need not have to add any fertilizers to it. That is the richness of the fertility of the soil. Very painfully, I am telling you this. Very painfully, I am telling you this, that for such a type of soil, instead of encouraging the farmers, instead of giving incentives to the farmers, instead of bringing up their life, so we have misguided, whoever it may be, XYZ, they have misinterpreted, they have mismanaged it, and today it has become a concrete jungle. A single banana which was costing 50 paise, or later on 1 rupee or something else, today you are paying 5 rupees, or it is in terms of kgs, now you are getting it. That means where we are standing at in inculcating the environmental awareness, the judicious management of the land resources. So that is how the habitat have been destructed. Now those farmers, if they want to, now if any farmer wants to continue with the land and other things, growing of agricultural crops, they should go beyond that Bogadi area towards SD Kote Road, wherein they will get a barren land, having the soil which is not that much fertile. To make it fertile, they have to spend lakhs and lakhs of rupees. See, look at that. So that is what is the abusement of the land. So just I am citing one example nearby Mysore, how many such areas across the country, right, across our rural areas have been urbanized or what we can say destructed. You just imagine. Then fragmentation of the area. Suppose there is 1 acre of land, 1 acre of land. What will you do when you grow? So if you are having 2 children, you want to give them half an acre and half an acre. You divide it. When you divide it into half an acre and half an acre, what they will do? They will fence it. They will fence it. Whether they grow the crop or not, they will fence it. First, they want to claim that it is their area. It is their land. It is their property. And each of them, when they in turn are having 2 children, they divide it once again. So each one of them get quarter land and a quarter land. So that means by continuous such fragmentation of the area, right, what happens is the productivity decreases. The productivity, the yield, the growing of the plants decreases. So if the land is to be intact, so you could have grown the more number of what? Plants, more number of yield and all these things you could have expected. But continuous fragmentation of the area also decreases the productivity. It is not only with respect to the agricultural land, even in a forest land, what they have done is that the area that was there earlier as a large forest area, part of it for dam construction, part of it for some other purpose, part for local settlement. Now, on the fringes of these forests, sometimes one fellow will go and make a little hut, then another fellow will enter, make a better house. Likewise, all of them start colonizing on the fringes of the forest. And once they become colonized, once they colonize along the margins of the forest, what they will do? Slowly they start encroaching the land for cultivation, right? A quarter an acre of a land for growing some, say, fruits or crops or something else like that, or vegetables. So gradually, likewise, they keep on encroaching the land, allow their cattle to go and get into the forest to graze or browse. See, that is how habitat destruction and fragmentation of the area in a forest land is taking away the biodiversity, taking away. Say, 64% of the loss of biodiversity is because of habitat destruction. 64% of the loss of biodiversity is because of the habitat destruction. Even it may increase also. And about 27% of this loss of biodiversity is because of over-exploitation of the resources. I will come to that over-exploitation. Before that, poaching and hunting for flesh, fur, horn, snail, recreation, etc. Though there is Wildlife Protection Act, Biological Diversity Act, all these things are there strictly to punish the guilty. The legislation is there. But in spite of that, people will go for poaching and hunting for flesh or fur, skin, horn, nail, and recreation. Right. Now, in this context, if I can say, if a common man goes to a forest, by chance, if he can collect a dead horn of an animal, or intentionally or unintentionally, by chance, if he come across the horns or skin or of some animal, immediately will be caught and he will be grilled and he will be questioned and he will be put into a lot of problems and all possible types of punishments. So legislation holds good for treating such type of people who are found to be so-called guilty for a minor thing. But the celebrities, even if they kill black buck, probably you may recollect who is associated with this killing of the black buck. When they kill, the entire community or the people will start protecting them, violating all norms and legislations of what? Acts, Biological Act or Wildlife Protection Act and all these things. So what is the factor that is playing an important role here? That you should understand. That is one thing. Then forest fire, including smoking in the woods. See, if it is a dry deciduous forest, if it is a summer, when you are walking in a forest, if you smoke a bidi or cigarette and if you just throw it away carelessly, it itself is sufficient to take a fire, because in a summer season in a dry deciduous forest, it catches very quickly and starts spreading. That is, through smoking, you can bring away a threat to the biodiversity. Another way is that some teachers or faculty or people or forest lovers, they go for picnic. When they go for picnic, especially in the winter season, they go to a beautiful forest, they make a tent, campfire, and all these things. After doing campfire, they will dance, do so many things, and without tending the fire properly, they will come back. And next day morning, if you can see, so there will be what? A forest fire in that area. See, that one should not do it, which they are threatening. That is what the forest fire, once it breaks open, it's gone. That means plenty of species will be lost. That is another way of forest fire. Third way of forest fire also we have seen. That is intentional forest fire also. For example, in our society, in our system, it is a hierarchical system. The higher official will be always passing over the lower official, right? The principal will pass over the HOD, HOD will pass over the subordinates, subordinates will pass over the menial staff. Likewise, this system is prevailing in every system. I do not know when it will develop. So people should develop the feeling of oneness, irrespective of their work. That will not be there. So even such hierarchical differences make intentional forest fire. How? For example, a higher forest official, when he passes over the lowest official, probably in a forest department, you may be aware of it. The higher officer always addresses the lower staff members very menially, very menially. So even they too also carry respect. they too also carry. Everyone will be having self-respect. When their self-respect is affected, they feel it, so they start taking revenge against their higher authorities. What they will do? I have practically got the information over 32 years of my field exploration in the forest. I'm telling you, right? What they will do? They will say, they will apply leave. That saying that they are not feeling well or something else like that for 1 or 2 days, they will apply leave. They themselves will go and lit the fire into in the forest. And by the time when the forest fire spreads, the higher authorities call these menial staff members, hey, come, we shall go and we shall tend the fire like that. They will say, sir, I am not feeling well, sir, I am on leave. Like that, they will escape from the duties. So by the time they want to make alternative arrangement, the entire loss of biodiversity in the area can be experienced. That is one intentional forest. Then these poachers or smugglers, what they will do is that if it is a vast forest area, at one corner, they will lit the fire and draw all your attention to go there. By the time you go there, from the opposite end, they will take away whatever that they want. They steal away. So that is what the poachers or smugglers also will. So with all these, the cumulative result is that the forest fire has broken out and it has taken away plenty of species which have taken millions of years to evolve on this earth have been lost. Then over exploitation of the resources. We are not going to be happy with whatever that we are having. We want to keep as much of resources as possible with us. Say for example, I will give the example of rosewood because I used to work on this one for over more than 2 to 3, 4 decades. Rosewood is a plant, right from sowing of a seed, it takes about 80 to 100, 120 years to mature, right? To give you the best wood, rosewood. Per cubic feet of this rosewood in international market, is about 4,000 to 5,000 rupees per cubic feet of this wood, right? I'm telling you the minimal price, okay? A single rosewood having 20 meters of the, what we can say, the bole and 2 to 3 meters of girth, you imagine how much of money it could have fetched. It takes about 100 to 120 years to mature, right from sowing of a seed into a seedling. It's a slow growing tree, but all of us need what? Rosewood furnitures, right? Rosewood dining table, rosewood door, front door should be rosewood, back door should be rosewood, window should be rosewood, dining table and chair should be rosewood. See, what is your lifespan? Your lifespan is just 61.5 years as an average. As on today, as compared to an American who lives for about 82 years. You are not going to live for 100 years. Now, all of us, isn't it? That is what is an estimation that has been made. So, in the present context, in the present scenario, so you are utilizing, say by the time you construct a house, it will be 30 years, minimum 25 or 30 years of your age. You are going to live for another 30, 40 years, assuming that. So you are going to take away the rosewood and it is very costly wood and rosewood is endemic to India. It is endemic to India. So, and it is going to fetch the highest international market value it is having. With all these things, it doesn't mean that you should not use it. But once you use it, have you bothered to grow the sapling of these rosewood anywhere or elsewhere? To see that it should be available for the future generation also. That we do not bother. What we want is that, so the front door should be made of rosewood because it is hard, and the back door of the house should be made of rosewood because no thief should enter from any corner. We are the greatest thieves. We have stolen away these rosewood from the natural forest. There are many fast growing species. Which can give you the best wood within 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Instead of that one, we do not go for such type of woods. And also, if the rosewood is available, somebody will say, oh, this wood will not get you nowadays. It's very difficult. Take it. And you will cut every rosewood and every wood planks, everything. You will keep it in your backyard. So you want to prepare dining table, chair. I will ask you one question. If you eat your food sitting on a rosewood chair and rosewood table or a dining table, is your food is going to get digested then only? If at all you sit on a floor and eat the food, will it not be digested? See, look at this. And likewise, our over exploitation of the resources, whether it is a plant resource or an animal resource or even a mineral resource. Look at today, we are making a hue and cry. Oh, petrol, diesel is costing so high. This government, that government, we putting a lot of blame on these things. How many of you are aware of the fact that they are all the fossil fuels which we are obtaining from Middle East countries? And with the present rate of consumption of this petrol or diesel, by 2065, it has been projected that all the oil wells in Middle East countries gets dried up, especially in Saudi Arabia, with the present rate of consumption. Right. So instead of judiciously managing or encouraging multi-transport system or our vehicles, we are simply each in a family, right, should have four-wheeler. Father should have four-wheeler, mother should have four-wheeler, son should have a four-wheeler, right? Daughter should have a four-wheeler. Each one of them should have one two-wheeler. And what for you are burning? See, look at the children, present generation. Even they do not walk for even few meters. To go to an adjacent house, they need a vehicle. You encourage them. And one of my colleague was telling, oh, my son is threatening me that if I doesn't get him a bike, he don't want to go to college. What will you say? He said, I said, tell him, go and hang yourself if you don't want to go to college like that. No, this was the, what we can say, ferocity that we feel, because we should not encourage the youngsters to go on vehicles to colleges. If it is too inevitable, if it is too far away, look at many villages, even the children are walking, the young kids are walking miles and miles together. And in urban areas, even to walk for 2-3 kilometers, the people, the parents, no one is encouraging them not to use the vehicles. See, for example, in our Gangotri campus, if you can look at, right, all the hostels are nearer to very department in within a radius of about 1 to 1.5 kilometers maximum. So even few meters, I can say. So allinda jars hodre hostel inda department hogi beeltane ashtu hatra irutte. But still, all of them, most of them are having vehicles. What for? Put petrol, right? Roam around here and there, right? And what? Burn the petrol, pollute the environment, tax your parents for petrol. What is the judicious management of your petrol or diesel resources? Even for the people, they come here for Kutralikere for a walk, morning walk. They come from various areas by their two-wheelers and four-wheelers. Why can't they come by walk and go back? Why can't they save the petrol or diesel? So if everyone realizes this across a place or across the country or like that, you can save it for some more. What will you save it for future generation? We say that resources should be kept for future generation. What will you keep it for future generation? Only your, once upon a time, my father was using this car or bike with a petrol or diesel. Like that, in another 50 years, they may have to speak. To that extent, we are over-exploiting our resources. We should not put the blame on anybody. We should blame ourselves first as to how we have to change our lifestyle and how our lifestyle from earlier to now has been changed. Coal or gold fields, for example, mineral resources. What for you need gold? Tell me. Because its rate is increasing. Yes, gold is required. What for? For ladies especially, for a Mangal Sutra or for a chain or one pair of bangle or one pair of or two pairs of earrings, that's sufficient. But because you look at, especially on Akshaya Tritiya, you go to all jewelry shops, oh, plenty of people, the entire population of the area will be there in front of jewelry because it is going to increase next year. What way it will increase? Gold will not increase, gold price will increase because your demand will be more. What for you need gold? What way it will? See, you wear all the gold and added to that with all these things, you will go to attend a function. It's a pseudo prestige, I will tell you. You'll go and attend a function and everybody should look at you. Oh, she is having that necklace, that ring, that one, this one, like that, so many things. I have already endangered the gold resource in KG. Until you return home, your parents are endangered, right? They are feeling that you are in danger. So you may be endangered on the way, right? Why do you need? And it is not only ladies, even boys. They want to have necklace, bracelets, shortly belts also may come. See, leave the gold resources as it is in nature. See, gold is required for every living entity, plant, animal, including human being. Probably when you are a small kid, your mother might have fed you with that Swarna Prashanam, right? They will do it. Bangar Kadina Ted Bitu Mogu Gactor. Because when it is getting inside, it increases the immunity power is increased. It can also be used in many Ayurvedic medicines to cure various diseases, right? It has got a potential medicinal value. Leave it in earth's crust as it is in naturally. Instead of doing that one, you have exploited the gold, made jewelry, and you have kept it in your bankers or lockers. What for? What for? I'm going to ask everyone. So that is not the need of the world. That is not required. What you should keep it for future. See, this is where the awareness about the importance of any natural resource should be one should make note of. Now, natural calamities like high wind velocity, tsunamis, earthquakes, all these things are also threatening biodiversity. When you say a tsunami has taken place, cyclone has taken place, it will wash out, it will uproot many trees, many species of plants, animals which are living in the forest, all will be what? Thrown away. Pollution of various kinds and release of toxic substances. Yes, that is what I am now telling you. See, plenty of vehicular burning, right, is another thing. And urbanization of, especially through industrialization, urbanization, modernization, all these things are giving you all possible types of toxic substances, whether on land or in water or in air. But with all these things, remember, even in water, there are aquatic plants which absorb these pollutants and purify the water. There are even on land surface, there are plants through their root system, they absorb the pollutants. Even in air, through their foliage or leaves, they absorb the pollutants. With all these things, the plants will give you oxygen. So without knowing the importance of these plants, so you are going to take away, right, all these forests. See, suppose even you drink a Bisleri or a distilled or whatever it may be, any such distilled water in your bottled water or something else, there is a chances of that you are getting throat infection. But in a running streams or rivers or anywhere in a forest area, if you drink water, nothing will happen. Though there are plenty of pollutants, debris, everything in a water body, in a river or a falls or elsewhere. The reason is because the debris, the fallen twigs, leaves, roots, so many things that have fallen in these things, water body, they are going to absorb these pollutants. They act as the best biosorbents, bioabsorbers, like, right? So that is what. So biocontrol, biopollutants, they control this pollution. They are the best filters of these pollutants, biofilters of pollutants. So when such is the value of the trees, without this, and we the name of modernization, urbanization, we are widening the roads everywhere, right? Stability of the structure is not there. Recently in Chamundi Hills, there is a landslide or something else like that. Why? What is the reason? You want to concrete the entire area, right? You want to cement it everywhere. You keep on cutting. Say, a plant requires a certain amount of area to root itself and bind the soil together. The supporting soil and nutrient and place, if at all, is not available, how do the plant can survive? You know that when these plants are cut, there will be soil erosion. The top soil gets exposed and there will be soil erosion and there will be loss of nutrients. When there is loss of nutrients in the soil, no other plant can grow. So that is how the loss of biodiversity can be met. Population pressure and unequal distribution of the resources. Population pressure and unequal distribution of the resource. Whatever that we are having, we are not going to distribute equally among ourselves. Suppose you are having two sites. Oh, I am having one site sufficient. You take another site like that. We are not generous enough to give it to another person. We want to accumulate as much as possible. Even if a child is not born, we will already book a site in his name in Muda. To that extent, we are greedy, so to say. So we are having just 328.7 million hectares of, is it isn't it? Hectares of land, 2.47% of the world geographical area we are having, and our population is increasing. And where is the land? And agricultural expansion, spreading urbanization, and all these things. That is what I am telling you, that whatever the land that is available, we are not judiciously using it for a specific purpose. So as the population increasing, we are taking what? The formation of layouts, residential layouts. We are not going to be happy with 1 or 2 houses. We want to have as many property as possible. I do not know. And everybody on the dais, right? Whether it is an administrator or a politician or a scientist or an academician, whoever it may be, they all speak about what? Equality, justice. So the poor should be uplifted. That one, this one, so many hues and cries, everyone will make. Who is practicing practically? That is what is the question that I am going to pose you. Who is going to be practical in their life, right? To lead a simplicity, to lead a simple life with simplicity, with minimal things of your resources, sharing and caring for each other, right? That is what is lacking. So with all these things, with all this pollution, we are changing our climate also. Global warming is taking place, increased amount of carbon dioxide concentration. And mining activities we are doing, quarrying activities. When you do mining and quarrying, what happens? The dust that is going to be given out, they will be thrown into the air. Sometimes they get deposited on the foliage. When on the leaf surface they get deposited, they decrease the photosynthetic area. Means the amount of sunlight that is falling on the leaf surface get decreased. When the amount of the sunlight falling on the green surface of the leaf is decreased, the photosynthesis, the food synthesis in the plant decreases, the yield decreases. If there is a continuous deposition of the dust, stone particles and all these things on the foliage of the plants in that area where mining and quarrying activity is going on, the plant will in a period of time, very shortly, is going to die. And that is how the deforestation activity can also be done through such mining activities and quarrying. And above all these things, we say lack of awareness. Who is not having awareness? For whom we should give this awareness? So that is what we should do. Is it, I will tell you, in a tribal fellow in a remote forest area is a real literate, a real conservationist, a real educationist. Today, if at all any forest is surviving, it is because of those tribes and not because of the so-called slogan speaking or preaching people. That is what my experience practically that have come across, right? So that's how many such things have been threatening our biodiversity. For example, there is one plant called Ravalfia serpentina. In Kannada, we call it as Sarpagandha. So the plant of this had a high medicinal value. Once upon a time, I'm telling you, in 1970s and 80s, it was growing like a grass. For example, in Shumaga district, in Western Ghats and Malnad areas, it was in plenty of this. Wherever you go, you used to come across this particular plant everywhere. But today, it is red listed. It is an endangered plant. Even if you scan hectares together of forest, you do not get even a single plant in that area. So the plant was used to cure it was used to prepare the medicine that is used to cure blood pressure and also for the snake bites. They used to prepare a medicine out of this plant. Now, if a snake is going to bite you, better you die. If blood pressure is there, better you die. Because you won't get medicine prepared out of this particular plant. Who has made this plant to lose? Is we, through habitat destruction, over-exploitation, and all these things. Now, how do you create awareness? Like that? Not that everyone should be aware of about every plant or every species about its importance. Remember, every species, every individual in this world is got its own value that come into the service of mankind. We should not upgrade or degrade anybody and anything. Right. Now, when this biodiversity is lost, what will be the ecological consequence? What is its impact on environment? When there are no forests, carbon dioxide concentration increases. When carbon dioxide concentration increases, the radiations that are coming from the sun strike the Earth's surface. When they go back, they cannot go back because carbon dioxide concentration is increased. They strike this carbon dioxide and re-radiate back to the Earth's surface, so that the radiations, because of its continuous striking on the Earth's surface gets heated up. That is what you call it as global warming. So global warming takes place because of such a phenomenon. So increased pollution, there will be no trees for biofiltering these pollutants. If at all is there, the health hazards will be to the maximum. The health hazards not only for human beings, even for animals. So if there is no trees, if there is loss of biodiversity, soil erosion and loss of fertility will be result. Even the decomposition rate by microbes is altered. Microbes, the bacteria like. Suppose you go to a park, and on the park they normally put barrier made up of iron grills as a fence. A fencing system will be made up of iron grills. So you just take a thermometer and measure the temperature near that fencing. And also you take the thermometer and measure in the mid of a park where there is no iron grills. So you see the difference. So the temperature will be more wherever there are iron grills. That indicates that temperature is increasing, right? So when temperature is increased, microbial, if you analyze the soil in such region, wherever the grill is there, in such region, the soil, if you analyze, the bacterial composition will be very less, whereas in the mid of a park, the bacterial composition will be more. Now, what I am trying to say here is that, likewise, so biodiversity is also under the control of the variation in temperature, climate, and all these things. And likewise, the nutrient cycling and recycling of the nutrients may be altered. So there should be sufficient plants and animals to grow, develop, and complete their life cycle. So if the forest itself gets reduced, the nutrients releasing also is going to be reduced. Reduces gene pool and affects speciation. If there is no greater diversity of the biodiversity, there will be no evolution of a stronger hybrid. Food chain is altered from the plants to animals, animals to human beings, like this. This food chain may get altered. And alteration in hydrologic cycle. It has been scientifically estimated that rainfall takes place when 85,000 cubic miles of water from oceans evaporate. 85,000 cubic miles of water evaporates from the oceanic surfaces and other water bodies. And from about 15,000 square kilometers, from 15,000 square kilometers from the land area, the water should transpire through the plants. Transpiration means the removal of excess of water in the form of water vapors from the plants through their leaves is called transpiration. So this transpiration and evaporation play an important role in releasing the water vapors into the atmosphere. When the water vapors go to atmosphere and condense there, so they reach back to the Earth's surface as rainfall or precipitation. So it is a continuous phenomenon which we call it as hydrologic cycle. Today, you have polluted the water body. For example, oceanic water body, if it's polluted, oil leaks, oil leakage, nuclear wars, when something has taken place, when all these oil get deposited over the surface of the water body, how do the water evaporates? You take 2 glasses of water in your home, if you want to test, in 1 glass of water, you put oil, and in another glass, you don't put oil. Keep both the bottles or glasses like that. So the glass in which there is no oil, water level decreases. The glass in which there is water, on the surface of water, there will be no decrease in the water level. So that is how you can, through simple experiment, you can understand that. So whenever there is oil pollution over water bodies, so the water cannot evaporate. So how can we have a normal rainfall or precipitation? So there are so many other reasons as to how this hydrologic cycle also get altered. So it is the net result. See, as on October last month, right, it has been estimated that So you get all these information through various scientific agencies and scientific bodies, world bodies. It is NOAA, National Oceanographic Atmospheric Administration in USA, which is going to monitor and estimate, collect the data and monitor and give the information. As on 2020 in October, the amount of carbon dioxide concentration in atmosphere is 413.93 ppm. The same thing, last year October, it was 411. About 80 to 90 years back, it was 283 ppm. About 80 to 90 years back, it was 283 years back. So at that time, what was the temperature? What was the climate? What was the resources? And what are the present resources? You just imagine. So that's how, this is an example to show how our greenhouse gases are increasing in our atmosphere, threatening the biodiversity. So when global warming takes place, the polar ice caps will melt, glaciers will melt, sea level rises. The melted water will join the sea. When the melted water joins the sea, sea level automatically rises. When the sea level rises, the land mass submerges. It has been predicted that by 2030, 20 centimeter of sea level rise may take place. And by 2100, about 50 centimeter of sea level rise may take place. So that means by 2030 to 2050, if 20 centimeter of sea level rise take place, most of the coastal areas across the world, like Bombay, Kolkata, they all get submerged in water. So when they get submerged in water, Maldives Islands will definitely get totally submerged. So before getting submerged, better to, if you are interested in seeing, you can go and see the Maldives Island. No, what I am trying to convey you is that sea level rise is taking place because of global warming and climate change. And that is why everybody is making a hue and cry that we should check the emission of greenhouse gases, increase the forest cover, protect the biodiversity. All these have become agenda of many such conference of parties, earth summits, etc. to see that this thing should not happen. So if global warming takes place and all these, see, this may be the situation wherein when the land mass submerge, the human species also may submerge. So what are all the solutions to all these problems? Conservation measures. Maintain the integrity of the habitat and improve the productivity of the habitat. So I do not go by sentence wise or word by word. What is the message in this first measure is that the habitat should not be destructed. It should not be fragmented. So if the land is intact, the productivity increases. So if the land is intact, greater the habitat protection, greater will be the survival of the species, right? So that is what is the conservation measure. Prevention and control of forest fire. So you should not smoke in the wood. Campfires should be carefully tended, right? You should not leave it as it is. So it should be properly extinguished. So you should not leave even anything which is capable of bringing about what? The forest fire. So by controlling forest fire, you can protect and conserve plenty of this biodiversity. Excessive cutting should be eliminated. So don't keep on cutting the trees as and when you require, right? So only whatever that is required for today. Suppose you cut one tree for your house or something else, 2 trees or something else like that, fine. You use it. I'm not saying that you should not use biodiversity. You use the resources, but also you should plan it for maintaining it, multiplying it, making its availability for the future generation also. So that is how, that is possible only when you grow new seedlings, right, in the harvested region, harvested trees. Fragmentation of the forest area or wildlife habitat decreases the diversity, whether it is genetical or ecological diversity. So it gets what? Decreases. That is why one should not do fragmentation of the area. Protection of forest from illicit felling and overgrazing. Don't allow your forest area. Already we are having lesser percentage of forest cover. Don't allow your cattle to go there and browse or graze. So natural regeneration for the forest should be given prior importance. So you should not encourage the illicit felling of the trees. Now, establishment of germplasm bank. What is this germplasm? Is nothing but simple words. Through a seed, you can grow a plant. Through a stem cutting, you can grow a plant, isn't it? So any plant material through which you can grow another plant, you can call it as a germplasm. You can call it as a germplasm. So likewise, even, for example, even embryos, right? Even in animals, they will keep this sperm bank, egg bank, isn't it? To bring about in vitro artificial fertilization and produce the new individual. So they are all called germplasm bank. So that means germplasm is nothing but that portion of an animal or a plant or any living cell which is capable of giving rise to another individual. So that type of material should be protected in certain banks like blood bank, like germplasm bank, seed bank, pollen bank, right? Likewise. So that should be established, especially for those species which you are already aware of, to bring about the genetic improvement for production of newer varieties of plants or animals. If the principles and procedures of social forestry is followed, what is social forestry? So it is, the concept is very beautiful. It was this concept was given by first a fellow called Westoby. Westoby was the first person to give this concept. So according to this concept of social forestry means, in simple words, growing of tree plants, right, in a wasteland, to meet the requirement of the people in their vicinity. To meet the requirement of the people in their vicinity, and also to improve their economic standard, That means wherever there are wasteland that is available, so there you try to grow such plants which is required for people in that area. Suppose you are in need of a medicinal plant, grow such type of plants in your wasteland and make use of the medicines that is being available instead of going to a forest and cutting. Suppose you are in need of a firewood, grow such type of species which can give you the firewood in the wasteland and make use of it. And suppose you have grown in excess, you can sell it elsewhere and you can make the money and reinvest it there like that. So that is what is. No, social forestry concept is a very big concept and it is a beautiful concept to protect and conserve the forest. Okay, we can speak hours and hours together about those things. But order of the day, what it has become, social forestry means, right? It is planting, Vana Mahotsav, in other words. So what you will do nowadays? Say, in India, about more than 68 million hectares of wasteland plus is available. And in Karnataka also around 6 million hectares some plus wasteland is available. If all these wasteland is converted into a productive land, the pressure on the natural forest can be minimized. So suppose instead of encouraging this social forestry, if you leave it as it is, it remains as a wasteland and a barren land. So you have to once again depend upon the natural forest for your resources. Now, conservation of rare species, endemic species, because they are the one which can supply you the gene pool. That is why you should protect it. And you should also grow certain plants which can give you the firewood of energy. For example, Suba bull is a plant. It is a one which can give the energy, wood energy, called dendrothermal energy. Even bamboos you can grow, right? So they are not, it is a non-wood based resource, bamboos. So that should be established, which can give you. They are called even energy plantations, right? Improper land degradation. So mining activity should be totally stopped. You should not allow land to degrade. Soil control, soil erosion should be controlled. According to a report from Tata Energy Institute, every year about 5,300 million tons of fertile soil is eroded in India. Every year 5,300 million tons of fertile soil is eroded in India. So that means if there is no vegetative cover and if the fertile soil is removed, you cannot grow the crops or the tree plants. So, or any plant. So that is why it should be controlled. So soil erosion should be controlled through vegetative cover, isn't it? And you must very judiciously and sensibly use the products that are obtained from the forest. And additionally, you should also curb the destructive activities of the poachers. So though there are strict environmental legislation, you should not encourage the activities of the poachers. And in most of the forest ecosystem, you have seen several ponds, pools, etc., where water level should be maintained even in summer. To maintain that water level, you should not you should have vegetation all around those lakes and ponds, so that there should not be evaporation of water rapidly. So if the water gets evaporated, the animals may not get what? Water, number one. Number two, if there were to be aquatic animals, right, they will die if there is a rapid evaporation. So to minimize that one, you should see that the water level should be maintained in pools, ponds, etc., so as to prevent the seasonal destruction of this aquatic life, so that you can protect biodiversity. And for protecting or conserving this biodiversity, various programs and various measures have been taken up by GOs, government organizations, non-government organizations, volunteers, farmers, etc. But in spite of all these things, it is still insufficient. Say, biosphere reserves, wildlife sanctuaries, wetlands, national parks, sacred groves, right? All these things have been established to protect biodiversity. And you should also, to create awareness about this importance of biodiversity and conservation of biodiversity, you should promote certain educational programs through various means. You should conduct scientific exhibitions, audio-visual methods, right? Say, visual methods of showing a photo, or we can say videos, etc. So that there are many people who can directly understand. If they look at what will happen if a forest is not there, what will happen if the animals are going to be killed, so what will happen if the forest fire is going to be broken out, what happens if the pollution takes place. Various documentaries are being available. So by showing those things to the people, you can create awareness and educate them as to how to protect your natural resources as well as environment. And it is not one man's job. So it is not only that only an environmental scientist fellow or a botany fellow or a zoology fellow should be involved in these things. It is the duty of everyone, whether it is an engineer or a scientist or an educationist or an economist or an administrator or a politician or a layman, whoever it may be. All of them should be associated together. They should be integrated in managing, promoting, and implementation of conservation programs. It is the bound duty of each and every individual, because when the forests, when the plants give oxygen, it do not discriminate between the individuals. When the earth gives you the water resources, it does not discriminate between the resources to utilize water. So if you want to have clean air, clean water, clean resources, it is the duty of everyone not only to utilize and also should be involved in protecting, conserving, and promoting all these resources being available for the future generation. Even to protect this biodiversity, India has become a member of IUCN, World Wildlife Fund. Now, when you become a member for such type of international organization, you get expertise, you get financial support, you get knowledge, you get people, so that you can involve yourself in promoting and protecting the conservation of natural resources as well as the biodiversity. Having said so, with all these things, though there are plenty of acts and all being available, are we enforcing strict environmental legislation? That is what is the question which I am going to put you. Are we enforcing strict environmental legislation to protect our biodiversity? There are so many movements like Save the Earth, Save the Western Ghats, as led by Pandurang Hegde, and Narmada Bachao Andolan, right, as led by Medha Patkar, Sundarlal Bahuguna, Apiko movement or Chipko movement. So with all these things, movements are just like a drop in an ocean. They are just like a drop in an ocean. Only with such type of, only a few real concern, we cannot protect the entire biodiversity or resources on this earth. So it should be the bound duty of each and everyone. And we should have that ethics of protecting our resources and nature. So what type of ethics we should have? We should have a stewardship ethics. Who is a steward? Steward is nothing but a slave. If I ask you, are you a steward? Do you agree? You say, no, I am not a steward. But if you ask me that, are you a steward? I will say, yes, I am a steward. I am a slave. Who is a steward? A steward is the one. A steward is a slave who takes care of the property, that does not belong to him, but belongs to his master. He is the one who is going to take care of his property that does not belong to him, but belongs to his master. So I am a slave, I am a steward. The property, the natural resources, nature is not my property. It is the nature's property. All these natural resources. So this nature has given me an opportunity to use it and also protect it and conserve it. So I should obey the orders passed by nature. I should not go against the nature. Say, when a steward is there in your house, when you go out of your home, it is his duty to take care of the property that does not belong to him. He will take care of it sincerely. When you return also, all these things will be as it is. So that is what is called stewardship ethics. So one should have that stewardship ethics, right? And we should not have a pseudo-prestige that I am the master of everything. What for you are the master? Are you a master of air? Are you a master of water? Are you a master of a forest or a wildlife or a mineral? You are a master of nothing. You are a slave on this earth for nature. Nature is the master. You keep on working against the master, right? What will happen? Earlier there was plague. You discovered a medicine. Then cholera, then malaria, then so many diseases, cancer, dengue, AIDS, right? H1N1, so many things came. So to have a check on you, corona, right? Still we do not know what are the other things are going to evolve. So ultimately, nature knows, master knows how to strike a balance to protect its resources. But it should not be at the cost of costing the human life or the human species. So to have a healthy environment, you should have a sustainable development. What is sustainable development? Judicious utilization of the resources. Judicious utilization of the resources given to us by nature, keeping in view of the future. Keeping in view of the future means, it doesn't mean that you destroy everything, right? Cut it, kill it, and keep it in a refrigerator. It is not the way. It is not the way. So live in nature as it is. To the best of your ability, you have to maintain it. You have to protect it. You have to multiply it. These resources should be available for your next generation, not in your home, but in nature. So that is what is the basic principle of the sustainable development. To have that sustainable development, you should stress upon various other parameters, like you should know how to manage the solid waste, how to conserve, and what should be the legislation to anybody who is going to violate the norms of protecting the nature. And you should conserve water through rainwater harvesting programs. So biodiversity conservation should be given importance. And you should have a free pollution environment to the best of your ability, and utilize your energy resources with minimal things, and have a proper measures for any hazards right? A mitigation measure. If you stress upon all these things, you can have a healthy environment. If you have a healthy environment, you can be healthy. Your fellow creatures also will be healthy, and the nation also will be healthy. So sustainable development means it is the harmonious integration, not fighting, not conflicting, not contradicting too many things. A sound and viable economy, a responsible governance, a social cohesion without any discriminatory feelings. So what is spirit or spiritual power? Spirit or spiritual power means, it doesn't mean that it's go to a temple, church or mosque and pray God and say that I am a strongest, I am more supremo, he is supremo or she is supremo. Not like that. Develop the feeling of oneness. So be a human being. Human like many are there, but being a human being is totally different, right? So human being means the real values of the humanity one should inculcate. So if one is having that one, you can have a social cohesion. You can take your society together for any developmental work. And you should have the ecological integrity. Whether it is the neighbor's house or my house, both the houses should be clean. When a neighbor is out of station, I should not sweep and put the dust into neighbor's house, right? So that way, we should see that all these things should be there. We should address these things to ensure the development as a life-sustaining process. It should support our life. So sustainable development means it is the integration of economic development, environment, protection, and social reformation with people empowerment. So with all these integration, definitely you can have a sustainable development. So once you cut a tree and then you want to see the impact and study about what will happen if a tree is going to be cut. Let me see like that. If you cut and then you want to study the impact, right? Probably your progenies itself may not be there to see the impact. See, we should always follow the principles of sharing and caring each other in our vicinity, in our area, in our region, in our locality, in our country, in our neighboring countries. Likewise, you keep on sharing and caring, having that feeling of oneness. See, how? See, you should also live. You allow other individuals also should live, right? The way in which a mother will take care of the children, right? And the way in which, without bothering about who is sitting on my head, I want to carry and support everyone. Let me see. If you do not harm anyone, they will also in turn do not harm you. So that way, you should take the things with you all. So I have briefed up very briefly without going into the technicalities of the scientific aspects too much to see that you should have at least a few information on this concept of biodiversity and conservation. And I do not know how best I could be able to succeed in conveying this information. However, at most and primarily, I would like to thank all of you for your patient listening to this talk. And also I invite you all, if you have got any doubts or any clarifications, I will try my level best to convey whatever that I know to myself.
Sir?
So thank you one and all.
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, is natural medicine related to ethnobotany?
Means?
Ethnobotany.
Ethnobotany, yes. Ethnobotany means that is the natural medicinal plants. The plants that are available in the forest are being used by the tribes, and they use this one not scientifically, in the sense they, by their own virtue of their ancestral knowledge, inherited knowledge, they take certain plants for a particular disease, they make their own formulation and they apply and get it cured. So this type of traditional knowledge is there in many parts of this world, and also in especially in Africa and India, it is to the core. So documentation, collection of the information and documentation of these things, and then scientific exploitation and validation is required for further exploitation. But till then, to get that information is a difficult task, because no tribal fellow will easily give you out the secret of his traditional medicines. For example, you go for say suppose a person goes for a cure of jaundice or joint pain or something else. He does not tell you what are the plants that he is going to make use of it and prepare the paste or oil or anything out of that one. Because he wants to make livelihood out of those things, and also he wants to conserve. Suppose he has got a fear that suppose this is known to you, you may go and exploit all these things and you may steal away his stomach earning, what we can say, source also. So likewise, there are so many ways that they think, and that is why it is not that easy, but it is a good thing that such type of medicinal practices which have been done without having scientific knowledge or a proper training, they do it. But the order of the day is that we should train them, we should encourage them, and we should try to inculcate that scientific practices of practicing such things along with the conservation of those species. That is what is nothing but involved in ethnomedicines.
One thing I would like to add with you, sir.
Yes.
The Wildlife Protection Act is so beautifully framed.
Yes.
But as you mentioned, the hard reality of implementation, sir.
Yes.
That is the main challenging, because implementation is so challenging. So
Yes.
that only we are leading to this one.
Yes. Now, in this context, I will tell you, see, for example, there are various pollution acts, Water Pollution Act, Air Pollution Act, Biodiversity, all these acts are there. And there is Central Pollution Control Board, State Pollution Control Board. So before clearance of any developmental project, they should have this EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment clearance. But all the industries, all of them are having this clearance. If that is the case, in spite of all these things, why this pollution problem have arisen in our country, in our state, in our area? That means there is some lacunae between the implementers and the followers and in between. So this I will tell you, honestly speaking, you can find solution to any of these things, but for your mind corruption and pollution, where is the solution? See, until and unless this is going to be eradicated, the young minds, we should train them, the young generation, because now, my experience, once when somebody was cutting a tree, I was walking in a forest, I know that it was not a tree exactly, it was a very medicinal important species. He was not knowing it. I said, you don't cut this tree. He said, see, to convince him and create that awareness, it is a hell of a job for me. It took a lot of time. Ultimately, I paid him a very handsome amount, and I also told him to keep on protecting and showing me those plants. I will give you next time on something like that. See, such type of innocence also will be there, but to inculcate that awareness among them is not an easy thing. That is why I'm telling you, that young minds, right from the young kids, now itself we can create that awareness. Number one, it is with respect to every resource I am telling you. You require clean water. You require clean air, right? You want your energy resources. You want your petrol. See, many students I have seen in the hostel, they put on the light in the evening 6 o'clock till they return from second show, first show, their light will be keep on burning. So how much of power is going to be wasted? To generate that much of power, how much of coal is being burnt? Now already we are feeling shortage of coal. And when the coal is burnt, how much of fly ash is being generated? See, all are interlinked like this. That is why if anybody says petrol price is rising or this, I simply laugh at it and look at them. I don't speak anything. But the thing is that how to create this awareness that judiciously manage your petrol resources, isn't it? So that's why I gave you the example, the so-called learned, the so-called cream of the society are also using the same thing.
Correct, sir. The implementation is so wrong. They are nothing but white collar criminals.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Don't you think that the sustainable development has been largely misunderstood, and in the name of sustainable development, we are going against the true spirit of that concept?
Yeah. Rather than saying that they have misunderstood, I will say